Finally, on the show today, we have one more thing because I have jumped back into a game that we've talked about previously on the show. That Alex
And in our previous show.
on our previous show as well, and that Alex actually had done on stream on the previous show.
Did I?
Yes, you did for like 7 hours or something like that. But
Who knows?
Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning.
Yes.
And, for the record, for those who don't know, Kingdoms of Amalur was a game that came out a good 10, 12 years ago.
Came out right around the time Skyrim came out, which was unfortunate.
For a lot of people, yeah. It was probably bad timing.
For 38 Studios, it was unfortunate.
For 38 Studios and Big Huge Games, it was not good. But anyway, but the irony of that whole situation is that the goals that they had set for them, eventually, I think they actually did meet them, but it wasn't in the time frame that they wanted, so.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are not aware, Kingdoms of Amalur was a very ambitious game with a very storied pedigree of designers and graphic artists and storytellers that built basically an epic RPG. That had a little bit of like almost the Elder Scrolls sort of open worldishness, but also I felt it shared a lot of similarities to stuff like Fable in how it was designed and laid out and the look and feel of it. It had a lot of really interesting things going for it, but we kind of thought that the series was all but dead, and it probably is. But then a couple years ago, when it was bought by THQ Nordic, they decided to do a reissue of it, which was called Re-Reckoning, and they also made note that there was going to be a new DLC for this game that came out a decade ago.
You know, I want to know how that was received.
Well, the early things from impressions I heard from individual people is that they actually liked what they had done with it. I have not gotten to the part where I have played it yet. I'm not that far in, but I do have the Fatesworn edition, so I will be able to get to it at a certain point. I had previously already played the Dead Kell and the Teeth of Naros when I tried this a little earlier, so I'm familiar with those. But I haven't gotten to the Fatesworn part. I think you have to be a higher level in order to do that. But I was curious while you're looking that up, about the big differences between the original and the sequel, or the reissuing, the reckoning therein. And so, one of the first things I did was try the sliders to, pull out my field of view, my FOV slider. Pull it out a little bit. I found if I pull it out way too much, I start to feel like I'm in an ARPG, and I might as well just be in Diablo. But pull it back a little bit so I can see more of the world. Maybe tilt it up a little bit. But the camera controls, it was nice to see that. It does look better than the original did by a bit. They went in and they did some redesigns on some of the stuff there. It still plays pretty much the same, I would say. They might have done some little tweaks behind the scenes, but what I've been trying to do is, unlike other times that I played the game, where I'd, want to go through everything that was in each part of the game, do all of the stuff, find all of the lore stones, do all of the side quests when I got to new towns and stuff like that, I decided I was going to focus on just doing the main story parts. And I've done some of the side missions when I came across them, but mostly I was just seeing, okay, well, can I actually get to the end? Because I really only completed this once when I did my complete run through that was like 80 hours. And so I'm in the last section right now. So I've been through Cluricon, and I'm into Alabastra, which is the last area essentially. And I visited all the other ones, Downtarth and Detir and all those. Visited those, did the main story missions, essentially. I think I've probably been at it for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 hours or so, and I'd say maybe 10 of that is, running through the story itself, with some stop-offs to do, a few other things in town, And yeah, doing inventory management because, like we talked about last time, everything that has it, you're going to spend a part of your time doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too terrible with inventory management, but you do need those backpacks.
You really need to find the backpacks, yeah, as soon as you possibly can. And it also helps when you have, like, the mercantile skills, so that if I do break down, because I usually have to break some of the junk down, I can still get some gold for it when you actually do break it down from your junk inventory. One thing I was kind of surprised by, though, is I can't just drop items. Like, I could... And if I want to destroy items, I have to get them into my junk before I can destroy them. And if I want to use them, I have to take them out of my junk. I feel like there could have been a more streamlined way to do that, but whatever. It's, it's functional. It's just not as streamlined from a UI perspective. It probably could have been fixed. But one of the reasons why I wanted to go through the main story is because I'm having not gotten a prompt on it for the Fate Sworn part at the start, I thought, I might have to actually do the storyline in order to do the Fate Sworn part, or get to a certain level, so I might as well run through the main stuff. Now, that being said, it is almost inevitable, every time I try playing Kingdoms of Amalur, no matter what kind of things I'm doing, I seem to always end up with the same build. And I don't know if you...
like with Skyrim when people always end up with the same build.
I don't know why it is. Maybe it's just because it always is the thing that works for me. But I am almost always going the Universalist path. I put, like, equal stats into my sorcery, my finesse, and my might skills. And so that... I can go through the Universalist path. When you actually do get through, like, the entirety of that path, one of the big things is that you get a +3 in all of your skills. which is great, because if you want to do crafting, if you're doing, like, the social skills in the world, or, lockpicking or anything like that, you just gained 3 levels in everything. When you're in that path. But also that you just get straight up damage bonuses to everything, and a reduction of requirements for everything as well. Right. So it becomes really useful in general to do. There are a lot of good options too if you wanted to do a cross class, or if you want to go straight in. And you can fate weave at any time if you wanted to try them. I never do. Again, I don't do that. But it's usually that. I'll do Universalist, and of course my main weapon is going to be the Chakram. I feel like there is an opportunity to do one of those challenge, those challenge videos like they usually do for the Fallout games or Skyrim, but do one for Kingdoms of Amalur. Can you beat Kingdoms of Amalur without using the Chakram? That's the only thing.
Well, I know one of the things they added in with the Re-Reckoning was also the difficulty slider, to harken back to the first segment. They added the difficulty slider so you can make it harder. And I guess the harder mode is actually challenging.
I'm sure it is. I'm just on the default difficulty setting, which I guess is normal. Because, it wasn't so much that I wanted a challenge, I wanted to see what the game is now, more than anything else. And, I always liked the world itself.
Well, you gotta figure, R.A. Salvatore.
Oh yeah, the design is incredible, like, of the monsters. And...
Well, sorry, not even just R.A. Salvatore, because that was writing mostly. So the world building that way is great. And then
Todd McFarlane the one that did the actual
for doing all the art direction of the world.
Yeah.
With the FOV slider being able to pull it back.
Yeah.
So you can actually see.
So you can see what the design of the art design was. Yeah.
I remember you're right, I did stream it. I remember one of the things I was like, there's an owl in this tree.
Yeah.
I have never seen before.
The stuff you miss. That was the one more thing of the segment was, hey, there's an owl there.
It was a hoot.
It was a hoot. And it is kind of amazing because being able to see like this almost like curated director's cut of the game and seeing the stuff that was kind of getting missed, I feel like if this stuff was in there originally, maybe it would have been better received, just because there's stuff that we didn't even know we were missing, like of course Owlin Tree.
Yeah.
Like Owlin Tree. Did you get a chance? You didn't really have the opportunity to play like the Dead Kel, Legend of Dead Kel, or the Teeth of Naros expansions?
No, I hadn't played those.
Okay.
I think they were included with Re-Reckoning though.
Yeah, they're all part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like 15 hours into Re-Reckoning.
Sure.
But I kind of do all the side quests while I'm doing it, so
sure.
It's harder to get through it.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that I had tried picking it up a couple times over the years after I did it the first time and played straight through and did everything. Because I wanted to try it again, and see if it was still, on newer hardware. I bought it. This is like the third time I think I've actually purchased the game.
Same.
Yeah. But I wanted to actually see, on newer hardware, better beef to it, what did it do? And inevitably, it's because I got down in the weeds and just wanted to do everything that I never actually completed it. So this time I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just not gonna worry too much about all the other stuff. I'm just gonna do the actual main stuff, because the interesting thing is, there's lots of side quests, and it takes you to all of the neat dungeons and castles and stuff, and those are all great. But the stuff that's on the main story path has much more of the big cinematic moments of the game. There's the Balrog, essentially, that you have to fight. That's this gigantic thing with these big claws that come down, and they smash into the ground, and for a second, it feels like you're playing God of War, where you're like trying to smash at that, and the head comes down, and then you can smack the head, and then it goes back. A lot of the big boss fights are in that. The places where you're running through, and the forts are crumbling down on top of you while you're running through. All of that basically kind of happens in the main story. So it's exciting. I think it is actually exciting to do that, because I figured, well, I know that at the end I can still go back and play, because that's how it works.
That's kind of like how I had to finally play Skyrim.
Is just kind of beeline it.
More or less, yeah. I was like, all right, I actually want to finish like the main storyline, and like what I consider the main two storylines are the Dragonborn and like the stuff with the Greybeards, and then the Civil War.
Yeah.
So I did that. I finally made a character, and did a different build than I normally do. I went heavy armor, two-handed weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And just brutalized things.
Yeah.
I eventually did go into like Conjuration as well, but I was like mainly two-handed heavy armor. And I went through it doing that, and I actually finally beat the main story for Skyrim. And I was like, all right, that was all right. That was good. That's fine. Took 400 something hours to finally get there, but I got there.
Yeah. And then you finally got to the part where it's like, oh, here's Alduin. There, we got that going on for us. It is sort of the same thing that I had to do when I was playing Skyrim when I got to the Dawn Guard. Because when I picked up Special Edition, I had never played Dawn Guard. I had tried the Dragonborn expansion and played through all of that, but I had very little interest in doing Dawn Guard, to be honest with you. And that one was another one where it's kind of like, okay, we're just going to try to just beeline ourselves right through this.
I feel like I'll eventually have to do the same thing in Fallout 4.
Because I do...
Sorry, Bethesda, I didn't care about my son that you kidnapped.
Yeah, sorry about that. I do... Nowadays, especially when I was doing challenges for Fallout New Vegas and stuff, I did find myself trying to skip a lot of stuff along the way to get to the end. Of course, that was mostly when I tried to do that one stat challenge because I hated myself that day. And
You did.
And I was like, I'm just gonna try to get to Vegas as quickly as possible and get into the Strip, because it's this is a pain in the ass. Let me tell you that. Don't try the one stat challenge, folks. It's I haven't seen anybody try that
For reasons.
It's not enjoyable. I can tell you that much. It's like, it is the Dark Souls of Fallout New Vegas.
So you'll have to report back in once you get to the new content of Amalur.
When I get through the Fate Sworn part, we'll come back and we will do a segment on it. Probably in another One More Thing. And I'll tell you what basically the Fate Sworn is and if it does anything new to the formula. Because that's what I'm really wondering about. When you're doing the main quest line, I feel like you get more experience than doing the side stuff too. So I've been leveling up fairly fast.
Good.
So, yeah, you know, I'm toward the end, but I'm already, and like I said, I'm 10 hours or 15 hours in, and I'm level 23, 24 already. So, you know, every time you complete one of those main story missions, it's like, here's like 15,000 experience or some crazy amount. It's like, cool, I'll take it. I'll take all the experience you get. Want to get to the last boss. The last boss is really cool, and see that. Might play around with the other DLCs, but my main thing is I want to try Fate Sworn, and I want to get to that part. So,
there you go.
But in general, does it hold up? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, and if it's an opportunity for people who didn't play it the first time to play it now, good. It could have easily been one of those games that, very much like the game collection we were talking about before, kind of gets lost to the ages and you don't see again. And I'm glad that it didn't get buried and just remembered by a few fond people, basically like us and Ellen. Basically. Basically, besides us and Ellen, I think that they're kind of got lost to the ages.
I get that reference.
Good.
I do.
Yeah. I thought it was fascinating when you were playing it on a stream and like nobody, and this is like our audience, no one knew what this was. They were confused. What is this game? And then all it takes is one of those Fate Weave finishers where you like stick the glowing stick in and you just throw somebody on it. It's like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, it's really amazing stuff. But yeah, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning is, I'd say, a good example of doing like a reboot remaster of a game. I've seen it done very badly. This is a very good one, and I like that it's kind of like even bringing in new content. So when I get to that, I will report back. I'll tell you how that was. All right.
Love it.
It's a promise.
Don't spoil it for me, though.
No.
Actually, you can spoil it. It's fine.
No, I wouldn't do that because, obviously, I'm the Fateless one. And I am Fate Sworn. Fate Sworn approved. There was only the one Kingdom of Amalur, apparently, though. Unfortunately.
They did want to do an MMO in that world, but, you know.
Well, I have this theory, Alex, that you practically doom your game series if the first game has like the colon and a subtitle.
Probably.
You know what if it was just called Kingdoms of Amalur, it would set up like a whole thing. But because they were so sure that this was setting up a whole game world with like multiple games, they were like Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Kingdom Come ... Deliverance, and you haven't seen another Kingdom Come since.
We'll need to do a thing about dead game series at some point.
Yeah.
Because we can get into Legacy of Kain at some point.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by the games that literally thought that they were going to be long-term game series that were going to have a ton of entries. They had the one.
Yeah.
And that was it. And
I'm also fascinated by the games that had a decent lifespan and then died.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are also kind of fascinating.
If you want to hear us talk at some point about the Blood Omen Legacy of Kain game series and the death of the game series, let us know, and maybe we can get into that in a segment at some point.
And possibly the resurgence of that at some point.
Yeah, doubtful. It's owned by Square Enix now. They've done nothing with it for over a decade.